Hey guys, I'm Shaheen from Versa Business Systems. So I've had a few people reach out to me since I started doing these videos and have asked me the question on why I qualify to be able to have these discussions on how to grow businesses, how to start businesses, how businesses can save money and things like that. So what I want to do is I want to take some time to tell my story, my background, what I've done in the past, the businesses I've helped run, the businesses I've started, and what qualifies me to have these conversations with business owners every single day, not just for my company, but for these videos to give out free knowledge and free advice to people that want to start a business or people that own a business and want to grow their business. Okay, so first off, I was born and raised in England. My family is on my mother's side. They're farmers, cow farms, also sheep, pigs, you name it. And my uncle has a butcher shop. So growing up, I was always working on the farm from a little kid, showing cattle, going to the market, going to the slaughterhouse, taking cattle there, then going to the butcher shop, delivering meat, selling to customers, cutting meat, vat packing burgers, making burgers and sausages in the mince machine, all that stuff, right? I've been working since I was a little boy. And when I was 7 years old, we moved to Minnesota. So in Minnesota, as you know, it snows a lot in the wintertime. It's beautiful in the summertime, and a lot of leaves in the fall. So me and some friends, my brother and my sister, my brother was like 3-4 years old, we started a landscaping business. When you got a little cute little boy running around asking for people if they want their grass cut or leaves raked, it works, right? So we did that. We made a good amount of money. My sister was in charge of the finances and would dish out the money at the end of the day or end of the week or whatever. And then one lesson I learned at a young age was never let your oldest sibling be in charge of the finances, because all of a sudden she turned 16, got her license, and she bought a car, and all that money was gone. But all jokes aside, that was the first business that I ran. And even though I was 7 to 10 years old, and actually even older than that before I got a real job running this business, I learned a lot of valuable lessons. Marketing, doing right by your customer with your customer service, being on time, being punctual, getting the job done, not leaving a job too early, completing what you start, all those different life lessons I learned at a really young age running a business with my siblings and my friends. People laugh about it like, oh, that wasn't really a business, but it was. I mean, we handled everything, So that was how I started my entrepreneurship, so to speak. My grandparents, they own their own farm, they run their business. My uncle started a butcher shop, was able to get them out of bankruptcy when, foot and mouth disease and mad cow disease came and almost crushed most of the farms in England. My uncle's like, man, we got to do something. And he started a butcher shop. And then all of a sudden, all right, we're bringing cattle to the farm, we're getting them nice and fat, we're taking them to the slaughterhouse, putting them through the butcher shop and selling them to customers. You know what I mean? So my family has come from that entrepreneurship, lifestyle. And I got to see all that growing up as a kid. So my 14th birthday, my mom picks me up from school. She said, we can do anything you want to do. It's your birthday. I asked her to drop me off at the Golden Valley strip malls. There was 4 big strip malls in Golden Valley, Minnesota. And I was like, look, drop me off and I'll call you when I get a job and then you can come pick me up. And she looked at me, she's like, wow, okay, all right. So she dropped me off. I called her an hour later. I said, hey, Mom, got a job. You can come pick me up. I start tomorrow. And it was at Devani's, a pizza place. And, I was always very interested in the managerial side of this pizza restaurant. Always constantly asking questions. I was that annoying 14-year-old kid, always bugging the managers. You know what I mean? And it was a great experience. I worked at cashier, cooked some food, helped the managers with things they needed help with. I even washed dishes, served tables, whatever. I did whatever was needed to be done, and I tried to work as much as I could. Legally at that time, I was only able to work a certain amount of hours a week, but I always worked the max. I always wanted to work. And I've seen what different businesses go through in terms of what they work, right? So 14 to 17, moved to Ocean City. Had some jobs here and there, then eventually got into Verizon. Started running Verizon stores, managing people, managing locations, going from one location to the next, managing profits, right? We were paid on the profit of the store, right? Then when I had multiple stores, I mean, at one point I had surgery on my leg. I would have one of my employees pick me up from my house with this big cast on my leg and take me to work. I'd be sitting there on a computer, with my leg up in a cast, and people thought I was crazy. I loved to work. I wanted to make sure my stores were profitable. I didn't want to take time off, because I knew if I wasn't there, things weren't getting handled, right? I always put my company before anything else. My family definitely comes first, but my business is the most important thing. That's what's going to feed my own family one day. And that's how I've always thought about it. So after I was managing a bunch of Verizon stores, I'm like, you know what? I got to get out of Ocean City. It's a party town. I'm not going to be able to be successful as I want to be here. So I dropped out of college. I moved to College Park, where my brother was going to college, and I started running AT&T kiosks. And then I wanted to start my own store. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to learn AT&T. I'm going to go back to Ocean City, be the first AT&T store down there. And so at the time, once I was done, for 6 months learning AT&T, I moved back down to the beach. And I didn't have the money to start my own AT&T store. So what I did is I started catering to the international students with prepaid phones and to businesses, because all the businesses down there have Verizon, right? So it was just walking into a business, hey, look, I can switch you over to AT&T, I can save you a bunch of money, and the service is finally good down here. It's the best choice for your business. So I started doing that. I would meet the international students when they would get off the bus. Hey, do you guys need phones? I would direct them where to go. I would even help out with they would do a training about the local laws and all that stuff. It was a lot of volunteer work, but got a few sales out of it also, because they all needed prepaid phones, and everybody's asking for SIM cards, and so that was kind of my first real taste of my own bigger business, especially in the business-to-business world. I had done some business-to-business with Verizon, but now this was my own. So I started cold calling businesses and switching them over from Verizon to AT&T, selling 20, 30, 50 line plans, making a decent amount of money. And then this guy approaches me one day to sell me credit card processing. And I'm like, well, how much money are you making on that? Because I'm going to businesses now. Maybe I could sell that along with it. And I did. And I started making a lot more money selling credit card processing. And I was able to get a lot more leads. They started giving me leads from this company. And I was like, man, this is great. And then they're like, hey, do you want to travel the country? We'll pay for your hotel. And, you can travel the country. You'll get leads in different cities. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. So I traveled the whole country for a year, selling credit card processing, going from business to business all over the country. I mean, Iowa, Kansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, Florida, you name it, I went. And I literally drove around the country for a year. Before I started doing that, I traded in my Tahoe and got a brand new Camry, because I'm like, I'm going to need to save some money on gas. And I just went traveling around the whole country. And that's when I really started to understand business to business and how it worked. We did loans, we did credit card processing, we did ATMs, we did point of sale systems. We did it all. And I had a blast doing it. I was basically working on my own. I worked for a company, and they would give me a portion of the profits. But I was an independent contractor. Everything was on me. I didn't have anybody paying for my cell phone or this, that, and the other. I didn't get a salary. It was all whatever I made out of it is what I got out of it. Whatever I put in, I got out. If I wanted to go to work that day and bust my tail and hit all those appointments to the best of my ability, I was going to make some good money that day. If I decided, nah, I'm just going to relax at the hotel, I didn't make any money that day. It was all on me. So met a ton of awesome business owners, met a lot of business owners that have been put in really bad situations from previous companies. It's a very hard product to sell, because a lot of people have been screwed over by some kind of sleazy salesperson in the past. So it's all about building trust. And I was able to build a lot of really good relationships with business owners. So after I traveled the country for about a year, I then became into management and started managing outside sales teams that were selling credit card processing, loans, and things of that nature. And the company ended up getting sold to these guys. They had really bad moral practices. I was brought up a good kid. You know, my family are great people. I was brought up to not lie, not cheat, not steal. And the morals of this company that bought the company I was working for, they weren't about that. They were just about the dollar signs. And I couldn't get behind it. So I was like, you know what? I'm done. And I get a call from a guy that used to work for the old owner and now owned his own company out of LA. So I flew out there and started working for them for a while. And I just didn't have it in me anymore. I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this sleazy salesman stuff anymore. I'm just not. You know, why do we have to lie to these customers, or why are you telling us to lie to these customers when there's no need? If you have a good product, and I always had a good product, when you have a good product, there is no reason to lie. If it makes sense for that customer, they should buy it. If it doesn't make sense for that customer, they shouldn't buy it. Don't tell me to pitch this thing that this customer does not need. I'm not okay with that, right? I want to help this customer. And in the long run, I'm going to make more money than anybody else. And I did. Every single place I've worked, every single business I've ran, I did things the right way, and I was able to make more money because I got a lot of referrals. They came back to me for more business, so on and so forth. So I was always able to make more money than anybody else by doing it the right way, doing it the honest way. You know, but there was always that one sales manager like, no, you got to do it this way. You're losing sales because you're telling too much, or you're sharing the whole story, or you're being too honest, or whatever the situation was, right? I can't do it any other way. So I ended up taking what's called I called it a sabbatical. A sabbatical is where you take a break from work. It's usually teachers do it, but I did it. Took about 6 months off to kind of figure out what I wanted to do next. And I started working for Pop Yachts, being a yacht broker, selling boats and RVs, and it was a good time. It wasn't bad, made some decent money. Started flipping a couple of houses, buying and selling anything. I sold a ton of those fidget spinners for a while, made some decent money. Started doing Airbnb properties, doing rental properties down in Ocean City, and made some decent money doing all that. Then one day, I'm like, you know what? I can't do this forever. I've got a girlfriend with a kid. I gotta have something stable. And so I decided, you know what? I'm gonna get back into the business to business. I'm gonna do it the right way. I'm gonna do it the honest way, and I'm gonna make more than any of those other guys that I've ever met in the industry have ever been able to do. And I started talking to some people. I'm like, hey, I want to do it the right way. I want to do it the honest way. I want to educate my customers on how these different things work so they can make the right decision. I want each people at the end of the day, once they've bought from us, I want them to know that they made the right decision. And the only way they can do that and be confident that they made the right decision is if they completely understand it. And the only way for them to completely understand it is if they were educated. That's the only way. If they were taught exactly how everything works, they can understand it. And they can be confident they made the right decision in doing business with us. So, 5 months in, started turning a profit, being self-sufficient. In this industry, that does not happen. It is very hard to make that happen in this industry inside of 16 or 18 months, let alone 4 or 5 months, right? The only way we're able to do it is by being honest and educating our customers, right? So, if after all that, you don't think that I have what it takes to give business owners advice, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to continue helping businesses all over this country grow, succeed, and save money. Catch you on the next video. Thanks, guys.